Alright, so out of the wood and into the nest, as it's called.
Here we are, the Northern Extraterrestrial Sorting Terminal, or N.E.S.T.
This must be where Commander Sprog tags and redistributes creatures around Magnus.
Stay on alert, rookies. You're on his home turf now.
Weren't we kind of, for the most part, already, anyway, when you get down to it? Like, outside of the village, I feel like... Well, okay, I guess to be fair, the first level was our home turf, but other than that, it feels like we've been on his home turf for most of it.
Reconfiguration. It turns deadly enemies.
Anyway, here's the morphing weapon.
Pigs this time.
Well, the thing is that you can also potentially, if you want, you can customize it from the home menu into 4 different farm animals, like pigs, cow, chicken, and I forgot the 4th one.
Are there any gameplay advantages to choosing one animal or the other, or is it all just cosmetic?
Just cosmetic. Also, this is where they start to drop multiple weapons in one row, so you get to the end of one, weapon introduction, and then you get immediately another one. But hey, at least, we also got Mr. Zircon, so... And yeah.
Oh wow, 3 in a row!
Yeah, I know, it's kind of weird. In case you're wondering, it's not even a case where they burn throughout all of the weapons early enough and then they leave you for the last stretch of the game without it. Because I calculated and the new weapons stop appearing roughly in the last level. So they have roughly a decent amount of time in terms of pacing, the weapons overall.
It's weird.
I wonder also, if you were gonna have 3 weapons, why not just merge those into one commercial proper?
That's because you can view separately, each cutscene on their own.
Well, in that case, I guess that kind of showcases how clunky it can unfortunately be, but... I guess it's not the worst thing.
Didn't you had something similar going on in a previous game? I forgot.
I don't recall us ever having, like, multiple weapons commercials clomped onto each other like that before.
Alright, for now let's just lower the bridge.
Looks like the main road is blocked off. Sprog's minions must be attacking that Tharpod settlement.
There has to be another way into the nest. We'll perform a satellite sweep of the sector. In the meantime, stay out
Sure.
of trouble.
If we stayed out of trouble, we wouldn't have a game.
Like, to quote Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, trouble finds us.
Yeah, nice work. Hey!
Ow.
No, it's okay. It's only a minor inconvenience to me.
Look,
Really?
Commander Sprog.
Just fire.
Sprog's minions have overrun the settlement.
Fun fact, as we all know, if I'm going to repeat it anyway, Lombaxes are immune to fire.
I don't know, I just seem to recall previous games where you had the ability to get burned.
The inconvenient aspect about that is that Lombax's immunity to fire is very sporadic, and then he comes up whenever nature feels like it. Just ask all the other Lombaxes. Oh no, wait, you can't.
I'd probably write in that Lombaxes are fire resistant, but that doesn't mean that they're immune. So yeah, still feel pain from fire, and enough of it can kill them.
There you go, the gimmick
Sorry, Crash!
for this particular part of the level is combining the glove, charging gadget with the timing of when the pressure plate activates. As you can see again, they also, still leave a bunch of rocks where you can use a quick hammer, but like I said, you get so little bolts out of it that it's not really worth stopping and doing it with them.
It's weird, in this game of all games, you'd think that they would actually want to increase the amount of bolts you get to, get better upgrades for not just yourself, but the whole party. Weird.
Like I said, I wonder if it was just a case where they wanted to introduce something where occasionally if you were playing online, someone would be distracted and fuck around.
Possible.
Oh shit.
Well, it's good to see that Boulder had the will of our forces against physics working.
There you go, the patty serves to actually, showcase how this particular trapping works, which is toxin that immobilizes you.
It's okay, you're free now. Now let us suck you up in the vacuum.
Basically, you're coming with me.
Don't worry, this is all part of a glorious purpose to save you all.
More ammo.
You just have to be my collectibles. Forever.
Get ready, Ratchet.
Classic catapult.
Alright, new enemy type. Specifically the thing that actually released those toxins, the Weavoid.
Just like we suspected. Weavoids. Watch out for their tails.
Thankfully the game doesn't have too many of these because they're not particularly fun to fight against. They have just enough HP to be a bit annoying, release the set toxins, and then roll around in that boulder format. Again, just one, encountering one is fine, for a single encounter, but obviously the game is gonna try to, spice things up by putting them in multiple numbers in already, mixing encounters.
Would be nice if the game had like a good counter move or gadget for them.
Not that I don't think any of them actually work.
Good teamwork. Oh yeah.
Like I said, most of the gadgets do not particularly have any major use in combat outside of the vacuums, potentially sucking up a small minion and tossing it.
Which, remind me if I'm wrong, but I feel like in past games they managed to make weapons that could pretty much double for both item grabbing and weapons before.
Not
So
always,
like a big change.
as I noted, the suck cannon was not particularly great, if you ask me.
Nah, I mean, it wasn't the best, but what I mean is, like, it feels weird for Insomniac to just go cold turkey on, oh no, these are mainly just for obtaining stuff, even though, again, stuff like the Quake Hammer seems like such an obvious thing to double as a weapon.
To be fair, again, I think what they wanted to do... God damn it, Clank. What they wanted to do is to properly differentiate the two types of tools that you'll be using. So also a lot of players will not be confused. You have to remember that this is still aimed at a relatively younger crowd. I think this is still like 12, Peggy 12?
Peggy 12, isn't that like the equivalent of like T for teen over here, though?
Yeah, like I said, it's not so much for, the presence of gore or, vulgarity, but also for, the type of gameplay. This is not really something, for a too younger audience. Let me give a look.
I guess in that regard, it feels weird that they want to simplify it in that regard, since I think when you reach like the T rating, you should have faith in your players' cognitive abilities.
No, okay, it's Peggy 7.
Okay, now that's more on par with like E or E10.
Weird, I can tell that a lot of the jokes really will not be super appropriate for 7-year-olds, but...
I swear, the Ratchet Clank series is probably one of the masterclass sessions of getting crap under the radar.
Also, as previously mentioned, ratings in general make no sense.
And sometimes ratings can be easily taken care of with enough pocket change, if you get the gist.
There is also the problem that I can imagine it's a worldwide kind of thing, but at least here, a lot of the time, the rating gets completely ignored if there is an adult, you know, having to. The classic scenario of grandpa wanting to get something for their kids for Christmas, most notably, for example, the GTA games, which normally would be PEGI 18, usually still got played by 12-year-olds.
I swear, it was one of the biggest paradoxes that consistently M-rated games like Call of Duty are pretty much infamous for having lobbies full of 10-year-olds.
And no one to enforce any of that.
I believe this situation.
It's funny considering it kind of led to something that we'll get to see in the future. When we, God damn it, Clank! God, thank God I actually saved.
I didn't know he could automatically do that to you.
Again,
I thought that was something you had to initiate, not the AI.
Part, well, either of us theoretically can, but the AI should be programmed, you know, to understand in case that they need to stay there, for example, instead of just coming back, you know. Anyway, led to something that, you know, we probably will get to see eventually in the future. One commercial for Dead Space 2. The entire, you know, marketing with the catchphrase of "Your mother hates this game," where EA actually privately showcased the game blindly to a bunch of, you know, soccer moms and asked them what they think with predictable results.
Like, were they expecting one of them to actually say, "Oh yeah, I loved it. Would give my 5-year-old."
Probably not, but again, it was basically a marketing stunt to say, "Oh, this is so, you know, risque because of how gory it is," even though the games were always, you know, 18 plus.
I wonder if they were trying to go for the Streisand effect, where those soccer moms would, you know, tell people to boycott the game, but the end result would actually be that causing it to sell more.
Probably. It was still very stupid, and notably they haven't tried to do with anything since, so thank God. But it's an interesting time capsule. Anyway, this particular Hero Bolt is given to the person that actually arrived first on the top. So there are mini competitions that you can have in the game with the stuff like get to the next section. You might have noticed because also the 4-player canon also had something like this going on.
I also recall like the taxi cab section, which definitely felt like it was oriented to regard multiple players with the steering mechanic.
That I haven't tried, but I can imagine it would have been something like say a Mario Party game, where, you know, more players would have caused more confusion.
Oh, absolutely. That's actually part of why I wondered if this game had a multiplayer. Well, you know, like if this game had like multiplayer party mode, because that taxi game felt like something straight out of Mario Party.
Okay.
Wow. So this is actually the game
just
where
loves to do whatever it fucking wants. And in case you're wondering if it's another thing titled the FPS, no, because like I said, I gave a couple of a test run, you know, on the original hardware, and no, the AI is inconsistent. The partner AI is inconsistent there too.
Nice work.
So, aside from maybe some bugs, this is more or less consistent with how the game is on PS3.
Yeah.
Cool. Also, I noticed that they're really emphasizing how much Clank hates having to fight other robots in this game, and I'm like, huh, all these games where Clank has said nothing about it, but no, I guess this is the game where finally he has
it's
to
because
break his silence.
For players that are using even a more proactive role, they need to actually get, you know, to have at least a line to, you know, excuse why would he do such a thing to, you know, creature of the same, you know, species.
The reason I raised my eyebrow at that is, like, there have been several games where he has taken out robots with not a worry. I mean, that's not even counting Secret Agent Clank, where pretty much, if anything, I think we were the ones commenting more on how he fights other robots without blinking an eye in that game.
Well, to be fair, in the other case, it was actually Ratchet pulling the trigger more than anything.
Still, no objections from Clank.
Well, remember, the third game is entirely around centered, but also particularly Clank taking a stance, despite, you know, being a robot, not sharing Dr. Nefarious' vision.
This music, like, it feels like it's constantly on the cusp of definitely being catchy, but it's just not catchy enough that I can really remember too many of it. Now, that being said, each one seems to fit each situation, so it at least succeeds in that regard.
Like I said,
It's
it's a very situational type of, you know, track that works as ambient.
Which seems to be what Ratchet and Clank does best. Like, as good as the music is, there's never really been a Ratchet and Clank soundtrack that I've ever felt like buying. Now, there have been some tunes that I did like Death to Squishies, but to be fair, that one's an earworm, essentially.
And that's more like a song rather than a music that has to accompany a segment. Yes, I know that it's technically used as the boss theme for Kearney Gears, but you know what I mean. It's like if...
I guess...
well, okay, no, I don't have an example that fits 100%, but it's like if in the final boss fight that Ellie has against Abby in Last of Us Part 2, they will suddenly start to have, I forgot the name of the singer, but Toxic in the background.
Anyone need some nanotech?
I mean... Lord knows that game needs all the help it can get, but that might have endeared me to, at the very least, just that scene with how corny that would be.
Fine.
Yeah. Basically,
What is an
no
exterminate there
backtracking.
for a second?
Hey, get away from my pal.
Leave no traces, leaves.
I have your back, Ratchet.
But yeah, no, I feel like, admittedly, part of the reason the soundtracks are never too memorable is, like, I get the feeling that Ratchet and Clank, even as far as the first game, was definitely one that operated, okay, not so much like a movie, but, like, it was definitely story-focused to the point where, you know, even the music was geared mostly to the plot as opposed to being, like, you know, catchy earworms.
I think it's literally also, you know, having a lack of synergy between the game direction and the composer that they have. You know, singularly they did have, you know, talented people going around, but there might not have been enough of a vision to actually, you know, visualize the product. The reason why, you know, in the Spyro games the music from Stuart from Dread of Coping worked was mostly because of such a synergy. The reason why it didn't work in Enter the Dragonfly was mostly because there was the lack of that.
Lord knows, I think he was trying with that final boss for tune.
Not really, I argue not. But there's maybe one track in the game that I argue, you know, where he was giving a bit of a shit, but for the most part I agree with Jim Caddy. It seems like Stuart was asleep for the entire process.
Well, don't you see, that's why the final boss tune sounds the way it does. He fell asleep and ended up slamming his head onto the keyboard several points. Like, that's the sad thing. That's probably the one song I actually remember from Enter the Dragonfly's soundtrack. And not necessarily because it's good, but it's a pseudo remix of Gulp's theme, and, well, not as good sounding. Yeah, like, congrats, Ripto. You had to rip off Gulp. Who you killed for some godforsaken reason.
We couldn't have, you know, the boss fight implemented for, you know, bug reasons.
But hey, we get a shitty remix of his boss music in the final, the only boss.
Yeah, I was talking about that. But yeah, no, I do wonder. Okay. When it comes to Ratchet and Clank games, is it like the story dictates the levels, or is it the levels that dictate the story, I wonder?
That I do not know in which specific order, but we have seen, thanks to the Insomniac Museum and other behind the scenes, that the levels do go on a relatively, you know, lengthy process of creation. So, you know, between storyboard, concept art, you know, and then regulations. So those two, hello, those do take quite a bit of, time to make. So I wouldn't be too surprised if it's a case where story passages happen, but the context in which they appear, the levels themselves, is implemented afterward. I love it. Even on this emulated version, the moment in this part, this is the only moment where Commander Sprog appears where the frame rate dips for a bit. I don't know what specifically. That's nowhere else in the game the frame rate dips like that. So I do wonder what specifically causes it. It's the sudden appearance of Commander Sprog's, model. Doesn't seem to be the case because it did appear before. So I did wonder if it was a combination of also the particles of the fact that you were on sliding section. I don't know.
If I were to hazard a guess, I do notice that there's that slight bit of slow-mo, to look awesome where they're leaping into the air. I wonder if the game goes into something of a pseudo-cinematic mode, which leads to that
No,
slowdown.
I can tell you that slowdown was literally an actual proper frame rate slowdown. Because, like I said, nowhere else in the game is something like that going on. But I did recognize when it's an actual slowdown from 60 to something like 30.
Well, that's why I assumed that, that little bit of frame rate slowdown before the bit was scripted and whatnot, because it's going into that.
No, if it's a slowdown, it will be more noticeable. Like when you get the explosion by combining your weapons.
Well, I guess kudos to the frame rate slowdown when they were in the air, since that made it look like one of those cool cinematic moments where people are flying through the air.
No, like I said, thanks to my current hardware, outside of the crashes, the emulation for for this game managed to stay consistent enough to not feel too much of an asshole.
Yeah, having gaming laptops like ours does tend to help. Well, gaming laptops are PCs.
Yeah. I can also say basically the same for the other games that I tried for now, which are full frontal assault, rescue force, Into the Nexus, and a couple of others that I tested, like Azrael's Wrath, for example.
Do you see yourself using the emulator, or probably just the base games with Elgato more often?
No, I'm probably just sticking to emulation by this point, because again, for having a better way to look and with better resolution, yeah, it's better than the grainy stuff that I've obtained so far.
Has RCPS3 gotten around to implementing a built-in recorder, or using?
I know it has, but I'm still using OBS, similar to when I'm recording from PC in general. It's more convenient that way.
I get it. I've gotten used to using built-in recorders with emulators, because then, even if there's lag or slowdown while recording, the built-in recorder basically renders things all perfectly fluidly, at least in the experience I've had with them. Still, I mean, I guess to be fair, if this thing's operating relatively well, even with OBS in the background, it works.
Just yesterday, I infiltrated the lair of the evil Count Microbolt. He had amassed an army of penguin cyborgs and was planning an attack on the city of Maragon 9. That was a rerun of you darn fool. You fell asleep while it was on last night. Now he's
okay.
Could be anywhere.
The fascinating war hero stories.
Remember, their stick is bad. They're old.
Yeah. Which, to give them credit, for being supposedly old bots, they don't have the typical thing you expect from old robots, like constant rust or whatnot. Though maybe that was some Talon just keeping them in good shape. Who knows?
Yeah, it's more the case of just, about, back in my day personality. Hey, we finally found the minions that are on the title screen, the bouncers. Almost halfway through the game.
I swear, bouncers are such a common name for goons in games. I'm not sure why.
To be fair, it kind of makes sense. A bouncer for something like a locale is a figure that has to be, built for, beating the shit out of, putting outside someone in case they misbehave. So they have to naturally be you know, ready to fight, you know, bulky like that.
True. Good point.
Although it also depends on a potential literal case, ignore the plans. For example, in Yu-Gi-Oh! The mechanic to having a bouncer is literally, you know, tied to that, to the word, as in you have to bounce back, like for example, a monster card back into the hand of the controller.
You know the funny thing about PS3 emulators is, like, the PS4 emulator was arguably well ahead of the PS3 emulator for a good amount of years, actually.
Well, not a lot, really, because people's eternal quest to try to emulate the Bloodborne has not been particularly successful. Even in recent years, you know, what they obtained is questionable, unfortunately.
Yeah, Bloodborne seems to be the white whale of PS4 emulation. What I mean is, like, PS4 emulation for a time was ahead of PS3 emulation, but, you know, obviously now PS3 emulation
And besides, most of the games on PS4 are on PC anyway, so...
Yeah, you know, like, kudos to them.
At that point, you might as well just, if you really don't want to spend money, at that point you might as well just, you know, pirate the PC versions. The
like, I guess
major third-party exception I can think of for something that one might desire would be Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. No idea
for
why
some reason,
that
they
never got a PC
put that
port.
My best guess is because they knew that PC players probably wouldn't put up with all the Grand Prix nonsense and wanted to really exert people paying for it.
But they still
from
tried with Crash Team Rumble, though.
I forget if Crash Team Rumble ever came to PC. I don't think it came to Steam.
Okay.
I'll check.
Definitely wasn't on the Blizzard launcher. So long, monsters. Enjoy the fall down.
Yeah, I really think it only came to PlayStation and Xbox consoles.
Okay.
Yeah, just those two.
Which is insane, since A, you're missing out on the potential Nintendo fan base, which there was for Crash, and B, why not bring this to PC? It had real-time strategy involved in it, too.
I can only assume that if there were any plans, they might have stopped after Toys for Bob split from Activision.
Possible.
You know, this is the annoying thing about how they announced that, oh, sorry, Crash Team Rumble didn't do so well, so say bye to Crash. It's like, they didn't even try, really, with trying to get that to as many people as they could. Like, I'm not a fan of Crash Team Rumble, but even I might have at least tried to support it to try and keep the franchise afloat.
Alright, new enemy type, an actual turret minion. To defeat it, you need to use the same tactic as the mobile ones, as in release your partner so that they perform a slam attack, but you need to wait until the right timing, right now.
Alright, Clank, let him have it with the banana slammer! Wait, wrong move.
That's not how it works.
I don't even have a banana.
The Scrunch is not in this game, too, so...
You know, come to think of it, I don't think we've ever seen a banana edible-wise in this universe. Oh wait, no, never mind, Free.
Yeah.
Quark was eating them when he was wild.
And it's a mechanic doing these actions with Clank where he has to, you know, go around with Scrunch.
Hey, I caught one.
At least we don't have the bananas that are apparently aphrodisiacs.
Those are the red bananas, as Johnny said in his review of DK64.
Well done, Diddy. Diddy Kong.
Yeah.
I feel like there's supposed to be some action for the scene.
No, occasionally you get these sequences where the particular helicopter medium actually takes you to a different location.
Probably a disguised loading screen.
Yes, at least I'm not squeezing through a narrow passage.
Look, like I said with a lot of interactive cuts. Clank, please.
Also,
I'm bored.
See what I mean? They could have actually have one of the new weapons show up here instead of that all three of them at the beginning.
Yeah, like the only other reason I get for why they have all those separate ones grouped together is because like they tied it to like a level up mechanic. Like if you reach a certain level, then this weapon becomes available. But no, that's just when it is. And I don't know. I don't think all those weapons would have been really that necessary to get that early on. Especially since I don't even know if you'd be able to unless you like specifically grinded to have enough of them.
I can tell you that the amount of bolts that you do get, lets you unlock every weapon in a decent enough fashion. But remember also, the progress of the characters are tied to the profile of the player. So potentially you can arrive at a certain point of the game in one session, but all the specifics of your character, will still be there. So if you start a new session with a different group, perhaps, and you unlock like half of the arsenal for Ratchet, you still have it if you started a new session with the new people. Alright, so it's time to properly invade the inside of N.E.S.T, which means, first of all, another new enemy, the Sentry Minion. This is where Nefeus' signature weapon comes into play a bit better, because under normal circumstances you're supposed to use the cover to sneak around, but Nefeus can completely bypass this enemy, but like it's very situational, so it's not really worth it, like I said. But also that means you will come in contact more directly with Commander Sprog, so you will be able to hear more of Jim Ward trying to do a Clancy Brown impression.
Beautiful.
Too far to jump. Hop in.
And in case you're wondering, yes, the turrets are technically a one-hit kill if they actually spot you, so it's better for you to not get, recognized. But you can survive if you're quick enough, into reaching them before they shoot you. Like, for example, what happened here with Clank.
Died valiantly, taking out that one turret.
Ratchet, I'm over here. I'm not dead.
Well, of course you're not dead permanently, but you were dead for 10 seconds, and that was scary, buddy.
You get scared that I'm only dead for 10 seconds?
Well, I mean, if I die, then you stay dead permanently.
There's also the mini-boss, the tank minion. Classic pattern of firing laser when you need to jump over.
Is there some biological aspect of death that I'm not getting?
It's best not to think about it, Clank.
Not to mention, in the last game, Clank literally rewinded time to save Ratchet, so you should know a bit about that.
That's true.
Still weird that he didn't talk about it.
I'm guessing Clank didn't want to traumatize Ratchet, but I don't know.
Like
I
I said,
Ratchet
it feels
could
one
handle
of
that.
it feels one of those things that they're best buddies enough that they should be talking about it. At least even in a throwaway context where, Clank say, by the way, you were almost dead, but I had to, sacrifice the power of the clock to save you. And Ratchet will be like, ah, that's nice, buddy. Even on a short kind of, exchange like that.
Warning. Unauthorized life forms detected in Sector 3.
Oh.
Oh dear.
Hello.
Hey, you come here often?
Interlopers. You worked on the master.
Yeah, used to don't make a drinking game of Commander Spock saying interlopers, because he says that in almost every single phrase.
They're at platform Delta through the steam channel.
Yes, Commander.
It really does like they took Jim Ward's voice and put it through a Clancy Brown impersonation machine.
You're being diverted to the N.E.S.T.
Oh, funny, the green fire room.
Feels like something that would happen at a motion ride in Universal Studios.
Do they like gas you like that? Like EA during that conference?
Yeah, specifically on the Spider-Man ride.
I'm sure there's something that violates the Geneva Convention.
Oh, don't worry, because story-wise, I believe the cast are made immune to that stuff, or they get through it quick enough so that it doesn't quote-unquote poison us.
Hop in.
Steward, the interlopers are still alive. Send in reinforcements.
Sir, why didn't you just reach out and squash them with your giant neck?
Because I'm lazy. There, I said it.
I think that's actually kind of a bit of a reasoning. As you continue throughout the level, Sprog becomes more and more exhausted in having to deal with the threat, meanwhile the steward doesn't seem to understand, how the gravity of the problem. That's part of the comedy that they go through.
Is it to destroy my factory? To save this planet? There is no saving this planet. Magnus belongs to the Master.
Dude, do you
The
know who we
Master.
are? Dude, do you know who you are? We've dealt with, minions like you for, a week or so each time.
So the final boss is Ron Atkinson, got it.
Get ready, Ratchet.
Oh my god. I mean, hey, kind
Mr.
of,
B,
sort of.
I've seen already Mr. Bean is quite the dangerous assassin.
Farewell, interloper.
Now remember, Dweebs, he did play the... Oh, Jesus. He did play the Master in that parody sketch of Doctor Who.
So wait, he's been both the Doctor and the Master?
Move towards the fan.
Well,
No,
only,
he just
only
played the Doctor in that parody.
Towards the fan.
Oh, yeah, it's like I knew he played the Doctor, but I
thought he
didn't know
was
he
the
played the
Master,
Master
Dweebs.
before.
No, the Master in that one was played by the actor who played Keira Knightley's dad in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Ah, okay.
Ah, interesting.
And then it must be confusing with an episode of the Death Adder.
I'll admit, Dwibs, for a moment I thought you were going to say
Blackadder,
Keira
sorry.
Knightley. For a moment, Dwibs, I thought you were going to say Keira Knightley was the Master in that thing.
Hey, I caught one.
But yeah, if you noticed, they try to spice things up with specific set pieces that are like a one-time thing, like that elevator sequence.
You ready, pal?
Like I said, it's not on the level of Joseph Fares' games in terms of being creative with the environment. Like, for example, the famous Street Fighter fighting game sequence on board of a plane during the climax of the Wasp Nest section it takes two. Although there is stuff in Split Fiction that also tries to rival that. Okay, without giving too much of a context, during one segment that is a bike chase, you have to basically act with the other character that's not driving. You have to actually find a way to open up a gate, if I recall correctly. And the way you do it is that you have to answer captchas very quickly on your phone while the other is driving. And they're designed specifically to be as annoying as possible.
Wish to fight you.
I love how Ratchet screams with such dexterity and pain whenever Clank dies, only to have Clank come back in like a few seconds.
It's the MG, the Metal Gear Solid method.
Yes.
Hop in. You ready, pal?
I said hop in, not hop me out.
Access the Sector 4 elevator.
3 weeks until retirement, and now this. I will not
Of course, Commander Spock was 3 weeks until retirement.
your incompetence.
So for once it's the villain whose retirement is getting interrupted.
Oh well.
Ratchet, take cover.
God damn it.
I have looked into our adversary's record, and I found it yet only 2 days before his retirement.
3 weeks, Clank. 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, Clank, are you sure your records aren't on the fritz, buddy?
I'm not sure. Throughout the course of our crime-fighting career, I believe my counting processor has been damaged.
Maybe that's why we were trying to go on retirement for like all of 1 minute.
Yes, I booked time off, but I didn't realize. But I thought that the one comma, colon, 00 meant 1 day, not one. I didn't realize it was 1 minute.
Gotta work on your binary transcript there, buddy. Anyway,
Alright,
can
let's
you...
get down the elevator. Gone.
You know, speaking of the retirement, part of me now wonders, that bit about Ratchet saying we were retiring, was that Insomniac maybe trying to be meta about how the whole we
God,
thought we were out,
if
but
I
we
had to
dragged
guess,
back in?
maybe, but it was really not played for comedy. I can tell you that.
I have your back, Ratchet.
That's just my best guess, because typically they write with a purpose,
Like,
so...
part of me gets it, the whole idea that, you know, Ratchet Clank have been doing this for so long that the galaxy need to stop being the universe, not just the polarized galaxy, need to stop being depending on them for a savior, you know, otherwise they're just not better than Quark on that matter, just only, you know, effective. So I partially get that, but I don't know, that's what these kind of stories tend to do anyway, so... Oh, hi Mr. Perkins.
And it's like, Ratchet never really hated the life of a hero. At most, he just needed maybe a break or vacation, but he never seemed to want to outright retire.
Like, remember how at the beginning of Size Matters, the two did consider the whole retiring, but as soon as Luna showed up, Ratchet was like, yeah, I have a massage schedule and anything, but what the hell, I'm just gonna, you know, dedicate some time for you.
And that wasn't a child who had their whole civilization enslaved as far as he knew. Like, I don't know, saying the whole, oh, but I'm retired to a child who's reaching out to you because her home has more or less been subjugated by
Really
a
feels
madman
tone deaf,
emperor.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Come on, Clank, there you go, help me out. Obviously, if I remember correctly, it's easier when all 4 players are around in order to, you know, remove the shields, but as a trade-off, the health pool is a bit bigger. Again, the one thing that gets balanced, depending on the number of players that there are, is actually the HPs of the enemies.
You guys actually make a darn good team.
Well, it's Ratchet and Clank, and yes, I know. The idea is that it's all 4 there, but... that's funny when you have, like, you know, the 2 characters who are famous for being attained, being acknowledged as, oh, wow, you make a good team after all.
Let's also remember the entire shtick of Kronk and Zephyr is that they've been fighting for so long that Ratchet and Clank's, you know, fights in comparison feels like tiny squabble. New weapon.
The Dark Star Fission Tether is perfect for electrifying enemies on the
This is basically a shotgun, but it's different from the Whiplash because it's more useful for crowd control. While the arc lasher serves to hold the enemy in place.
I do dig how they give variations on the effects of these weapons when you, like, combine multiples of them together with multiple players. It does give, you know, incentive to having multiple players at hand.
Yeah, and again encourages teamwork more than anything.
Alright, where to... Oh, right.
Where's that meddling little flowerpot go? The one who's been sticking chewing gum in all my machines?
I've detected a spike in your neural processing power, Commander. Recommend you count down from 5 to enhance your sense of calm.
Okay, so the commander is actually a robot. I thought he was just piloting that mechanical thing.
Can this marriage be saved?
Most of them are afraid to
So,
fight
if I
together.
understand correctly, our main bad guy
Just
is...
scared.
No, in case you're wondering, Commander Sprog is not the leading unit. He's still answering to someone that he calls the Master. We don't know who that is yet.
Ah, okay. So he's the robot, but he's not the one in charge.
There's a
Okay.
party in Sector 12.
Sure, they're definitely gonna buy that.
Okay, given that
Yeah, I'm
she's
pretty sure
filled
your
up-
minions heard that previous announcement.
Oh wow, they actually did buy it.
Help you, Ratchet.
What? What? Did you not hear that bit before?
Yeah, whatever. More cannon fodder.
The cake is a lie.
Of course.
Yeah, well, if they didn't hear, then that's their own problem.
She's going for the GLaDOS thing, so I'm definitely chalking that up to a Cake as the Lie reference.
When properly powered up, the morphing ray becomes actually pretty useful also for crowd control. It still targets one enemy at a time unless there is the combined explosion in which it has an aerial effect. But it becomes very useful even on targets that are a bit more spongy. It even works on mini-bosses, not on proper bosses, but definitely on mini-bosses like, for example, Mr. Perkins down there that we faced a few minutes ago. You'll be able to see that in action in a future part.
More ammo. Yes.
Wouldn't it be funny if, like, the Groovatron or, like,
The Groovatron,
Disco
unfortunately,
Bomb...
is sadly absent from this. It returns in the next game.
Imagine if, like, the Groovatron, everything could be turned into an animal with the mutation ray, even the bosses, which, okay, that might be a little OP, I guess, but... Maybe if, like, the compromise can be that it's just a temporary transformation that makes them easier to damage before they warp back or something.
No, if there's something that the franchise is consistent with, is that the morphing weapon seems to be permanent. This is a thing that is also acting as a plot point in the movie, believe it or not.
Oh boy.
You have given us no choice.
Oh, right, that detail.
We'll get there. We're not that far out.
Yes. Forgive me, I don't remember too many details from that movie and the game it's based off of, since I don't come back to them often.
Good teamwork. Yes. Ready.
Woo!
Time to jump. Oh, actually, let's do that later. There you go.
Ratchet, why were you firing at the railing?
Because I know video games 101 and they might, drop them on us.
Yeah, like, you don't hang enemies like those from a loft without having something in
It's
mind.
either that or they give you an achievement for it, so...
Win.
You get an achievement for firing at a railing?
Specifically at the enemies that are hanging around. Hell, maybe that's the name of the achievement, hanging around. Because they tend to use the same couple of, achievement names for this specific action. If I had an equal every time, an achievement tied to using a shop in a game is called Hey Big Spender, I will have enough to actually buy a AAA release on launch. Kronka, you really need to work on your scanners.
I'm guessing he has one of them old scanners that only shows little dots and locations.
It's like in the first Alien movie, they did not count for third dimension shenanigans.
Which is funny, given in retrospect that prequels show that, no, we did supposedly have more advanced technology, though, to be fair...
It was like Nostromo that was just, a simple mining vessel.
Yeah, like, to be fair, it's well established that the Nostromo was basically the equivalent of truckers with an old rig, basically.
In case you're wondering about another thing, like the draw distance, or the blur, or the bloom, RPCS3 tends to have mods dedicated to games if the community is interested enough that can actually toggle some of these things on and off. But for these Ratchet Clank games, they only did a relatively bare minimum work, also loop-de-loop, and only gave it the frame rate unlock kind of patch, fan patch.
Thanks for the ride, guys!
I tested Azura's Wrath, and that one actually has quite a bit more customization stuff, like removing the bloom and the motion blur. So, for example, there is that.
I'm guessing Crack in Time probably comes with that option
No,
too.
again, the
'cause
Ratchet Clank game seems to have just a relatively bare minimum too, so you do still get the invasive room.
The interlopers are
that
still
really
alive.
surprises me, because Crack in Time cranked up the bloom to the point of ludicrous levels.
Are you sure? Because you said that a few minutes ago. Were you being humorous?
This is what you get when talking to an AI.
But he's also an AI, so the AI is annoying another AI.
Pretty much.
Can this marriage be saved?
Already did that. There's this well, a lot of the arguments, both for science fiction and IRL, can be traced to something that is called the Chinese room argument, as in, which basically states that an AI would never be capable of reaching sapience and emotional achievement, no matter how, big the technological progress happens. Of course, a lot of the science fiction stories are specifically designed to counter that, like I, Robot from Isaac Asimov. And it's only a matter of time to see if that will be applicable to real life or not. I don't know if I want to be alive when that will happen, but who knows.
Well, buckle up. We're already to the point where now people are literally making robotic girlfriends, so if they become aware, I get the feeling we'll know. Oh, crap.
No, not more Weeboids, please. God damn it.
You'll get more and like it.
They look like some specific... When they are retreating in rock form, they look like some specific breakfast cereals that you have to dip in milk.
I find it weird that they're able to roll just fine in their shell forms, even though those look like those are very counterintuitive to rolling.
Keep rolling. Well, they're kind of like geodes, so... And let's see if homing attacking works. Although, as you can see, the bouncing of the homing attack is very similar to the one of Shadow in Sonic 06, where instead of, just it leaves us a couple of seconds where the character, Ratchet or Clank, is still, float a bit afterward.
So yeah, name of the game is homing attack, it seems.
Well, no, it was just set to different weapons. Of this arsenal, there are only one or two weapons that I don't think are as useful as they may be, but otherwise, most of it is, still useful. Even the rocket launcher, despite its abysmal rate of fire, so... Especially because when concentrating its fire still works, properly as intended, so... That's probably why it's designed, to focus on bosses when they are weakened enough. Come on, Clank, we have a boss fight to have, speaking of which. Of course it's on the rooftop.
As the highest ranking warbot on site, I hereby declare you enemies of the Master. Prepare to do
Oh, we weren't already? How nice of you.
Well, you gave us 1 second to prepare.
Sorry, that's, this... Remember, this isn't a game, TM. As a matter of fact.
Well, that was the tagline for the original Mario movie, and look how well that turned out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it. Had that Mario movie come out in, say, this decade, it probably would have sold much more, since one thing we gotta remember is that original Mario movie was released in a day where Mario was on the rise, but wasn't like the Mickey Mouse of gaming that he is now, essentially. Mind you, it probably may not have sold as much as the Illumination movie did, but I bet you if that live-action movie had been released in this day and age, it would have at least done Minecraft movie numbers.
It also was tempered by, the couple's, demands and the lack of quality control for Nintendo. So I believe it will still be a relatively different product. If you're talking about the state of the plot and character behavior, that will be something that we'll see more in a fan web video. They try to be. What if Mario was like this?
What we do know is that originally that movie was meant to be a lot more fantastical. Like,
So
that's how Bob
probably
Hoskins got netted in.
Probably more similar to what we got in the Illumination movie. At least on a very basic level.
Yeah, like, from what I recall, the original take was definitely supposed to be more in line with Mario, like, and don't get me wrong, I like that movie, but I absolutely get why it just didn't fly, especially back then. Like, let me put it like this, that kind of move could have only worked, like, in this day and age where Mario is, like, unstoppable, and yeah, like you said, these days, Nintendo tend to exert their quality control a lot more, so it probably wouldn't have even gotten to that point, but still.
We'll have to see how that works out with the Zelda movie, still pondering. The casting so far has been relatively promising, but we don't know the details of everything just yet.
Nintendo working with Sony on something that involves Link. I mean, almost like what the CDI was originally supposed to be back when they were making the Nintendo
Well,
CD
that was with Philips, instead. The other add-on was eventually what turned out to be the PlayStation.
It really does make one wonder, how different would the landscape be now if Nintendo had actually just netted up and worked with Sony the whole way in?
Sega probably would have had a better time surviving the console wars. That's my guess, because with not as much competition. Remember, the PS2 is the thing that murdered the Dreamcast and almost murdered the GameCube. So
it's true. I wonder, would Nintendo and Sony have just been like consistent partners in gaming after that? Like,
possible.
Yeah.
As you can see, Commander Sprog is a bit of a sponge, but this particular attack where he drops the bombs that you can throw back with the vacuums is the best way to damage him. There you go.
Well, at least the stewards seem to be somewhat concerned for him.
Alright, let's see how the fight ends.
Your voice modulator is damaged, Commander. But if you tell us how to defeat Emphemeris, I believe I know someone who can fix you.
Well, I don't like to brag, but I did modify my crotchetizer with a special vibrating function I call the Happy Platypus.
Exactly what he said, a goddamn vibrator.
Yeah, let's
to him.
That's why.
Are you insane?
If I may, being evil has not worked out well for you these last few years. Perhaps using your intelligence for good will yield.
Yes.
Yeah,
this'll
happen.
Yes, this'll totally be the game where someone called Dr. Nefarious turns good guys.
And we get to the Windows tune-up sound.
We did our part. Now how do we defeat Emphemeris?
Only the Architect knows. He lives beyond
the Architect? Oh no!
Of the Blue Rocks.
You did the right thing, Doctor.
Get bent!
Get bent. But yeah,
well,
that's going to be our job now, to find, quote-unquote, the Architect.
I swear, it's always the Architect for these things, but hey...
Also, wait. Get bent? I don't know, he's already pretty corrupt.
Well, you know what? To his credit, he seems to be a warbot with honor since he did honor the deal, unless he's just leaving.
I'm more surprised that Emphemeris did not reprogram Commander Sprog to attack us.
Hey, I caught one!
I guess, well, okay, gameplay-wise, I get why he doesn't, but...
I can tell you that plot-wise, yes, they are genuinely trying to find, not having a complete redemption arc for Nefarious, but to at least, seem to imply that his time with the heroes seem to be paying off a bit. Spoiler alert, so far he hasn't really stuck around in the other games.
We totally don't have a game in the future where he's like the bad guy.
Well, it's more complex than that, but we'll get there.
Hollow Diary 001. Creatures. For years, they've been something of a rite of passage on Magnus. Their very presence seems to enrich, inspire, and motivate us all. It is a bond no one has ever sought to understand. Until now. Using a complex array of technological thingamadoos, my colleague Nevo Binkelmeyer and I have been investigating the effect of creatures on their owners. Take my own companion, Mr. Dingo.
Oh, it's adorable.
His mere presence seems to amplify my talents as a paradoxologist. But observe him through the lens of a vectomorphic trisiloscope.
Yeah, it even has seems to have an energy inside you.
Have we discovered some new form of
So
cosmic
apparently
radiation?
creatures from this
We
planet
must
seem
learn
to
more
have
about
mental
this
effects
energy.
that can boost
Nevo
the
believes
certain
he can
qualities
modify
of
the
people who take
protomorphic
them
energy
as
extractors
their
in order to
owners.
separate the energy from its host. Tomorrow will be a great day.
But we don't know that
science.
due to, you know, the previous Hollow Beast that is labeled number 5 and the current situation that something went horribly wrong. But that's for us to find out. So tune in for the next part where we get to an equivalent of a fishing hamlet. So you know what that means. You know, pixelated water everywhere. See you for that.
See you then.
See ya.